back to the Found in Translation talk show. This is your host, Ray Collazo. Thank you so much for joining us. Found in Translation stacks truth about politics and today's hottest issues. And sometimes we just got to let loose. We've had such a difficult year with so many things happening in our political system. But tonight is about La Familia. It's about Christmas. It's about our culture. And you know what? It's about our favorite subject, la comida, the food. And to combine all those things, I had to bring on one of my great co-hosts and friends as she's getting her technical situation together. Vanessa Maria Graber. Is Vanessa in the building? Vanessa!
Hey, how are you?
Good. But Vanessa Maria Graber, for people who don't know, is the executive producer of the radio version on the show. And you're listening to this, so our radio listeners at WPPMLP 106.5 FM. Maria, very quickly, let people know a little bit about the station, the kind of programming we have here at WPPMLP.
So we are a community radio station in Philly, and we have the best local programming anywhere in the state, in the city. We have over 100 volunteer producers from the committee. It's the most diverse station in the city. We have people from all over the Delaware Valley. We have a ton of POC people. We have youth. We have people with disabilities. We have LGBT people. So we really try to be representative of Philly and all the different kinds of people that are here. We're also non-commercial educational. So we're not influenced by corporate sponsors. We're allowed to tell the stories as we see fit. We tell the truth. And we
stack truth. That is one of our main themes here.
Yeah, and we also allow for in-depth conversations, which I don't think you hear on a lot of stations, right? Like, we actually spend an hour diving into an issue. We talk to people that are impacted by these issues. So it's really important to have community media all over the country, not just in Philly.
It's Christmas time. We wanted to relax, take a breath. And the person the last few weeks that's gotten on my radar and has really brought a lot of joy and a lot of conversation in our community. I mean, food is such a big part of it, and wanted to bring on a very special guest, and I'm honored that he agreed to be on the show from the Sabor With Love platform, cooking platform. Yes, Familia Chef Greg is in the building.
Hey, what's going on, my people? What's going on? Hey, Vanessa, what's going on? Rafa, what's going on?
You're a good brother, man. Hold on. I feel like I have to do one of these because that's like one of your signature. Take a step back. Coach Greg, wonderful to have you on the show, brother. Wow, it's such an honor, man. First of all, Greg, I was telling you before we got on there that I've had Residente on the show. I've had, Ray Suarez. Lots of entertainers. Awesome. And brother, you are one of the biggest celebrities. The reaction I got from you, man. And we're going to talk about it because I think it's your particular story, your particular niche that is really not only, of course, the food and the holidays, but I think your particular story has really captured people. So before we bring my co-host back onto this stage to ask you questions about, they have so many questions for you about your style, about how you develop your brand. Mm-hmm. But let's start with the Sabor With Love journey, bro, because when I think about, your typical chef, especially with Puerto Rican cuisine, a brother like you, bro, and your style isn't the first one to pass to the head. I think of Abuelita back in the days. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So let's start with your audience who's really excited to have you on the show. We really appreciate you. Chef Greg and the family, where did the Sabor With Love journey begin for you?
So the whole journey began like a year and a half ago, probably a year and 6 months. I've always cooked all my life. I was brought up, my family always had like little kiosquitos in Puerto Rico where we cooked and, made the typical empanadillas and alcapurrias and everything. And then I learned how to cook when I was really young. And I've always been a chef. We own a couple of restaurants in Puerto Rico. Then I decided to move to Florida. And all my friends were always, show us how to cook. You guys have to do like some kind of courses or classes where you could teach people how to cook. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. I work a 50, 60-hour job a week, and I don't have time for this. But they kept on telling me the same thing. And one day, a year and a half ago, I told my wife, you know what? While I'm cooking for the family, let's record. Let's do a little video, see what happens, And we started this like a little hobby. And the whole focus of this Sabor With Love page was I've ran into so many Latinos that don't speak Spanish, or so many Latinos that have that have been living in the States for so long and never learned how to cook like our traditional foods, you know? And I'm like, you know what? I want to capture this. I want to make sure people don't forget where we come from, what type of foods we were brought up eating, you know? So I always learn from my abuelitas and my mom and my father. And you know what? That's what I wanted to share with everybody. I'm not giving you just a basic recipe. I'm giving you the recipe of how to make these home cooked meals, how they used to make them back in the days in Puerto Rico, you know, in the island.
And it's so beautiful. And Christmas for our community, especially Puerto Ricans and Latinos in general, though. I mean, this is the association with our food and our heritage and these holiday seasons are very important. We're going to get one of my co-hosts, Vanessa, on stage here. Vanessa, I know you're excited. You're a big foodie as well as an activist. I know just seeing Coach Chef Greg and close is very exciting for so many of us. This is a big moment, bro. So Vanessa, take it away. I know you have some questions for Chef Greg.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of people don't know I used to work on a food truck. I've worked in catering for the last 10 years, always as a side hustle. And I think you know, it's so cliche, but food is the ultimate connector, right? Everybody comes together around food. And what we see typically a lot in Philly, even though there's a large Puerto Rican population, is that people don't know our food, right? They still think we eat tacos and burritos. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Mexican food. It's delicious. I love food from all around Latin America, but highlight for our viewers, you know, what are the staples? What are the things you can't live without? Because I know I have a short list of what I think is quintessential Puerto Rican food, but what's your top 3 or 4?
My top 3 or 4: pork, rice, totones or amarillo. Those 3 are my basic, you know.
Maybe we'll put plátanos just to cover the whole gamut, right?
Exactly. I have friends that tell me, bro, you make breakfast with plátanos. I mean, you have totones with pancakes, you know, because those are the 3 basic. I mean, I try to cook, and sometimes I try not to make it all the time, but there's always amarillo or tostones. I'm a rice guy. So I have to feel if I ate, I have to feel like I ate rice first, you know, to make sure I ate. And the pork, always. And when the holidays come around, you know, we always take that to a whole nother level. Obviously, we got the lechon, the pasteles, the arroz con dulce, arroz con gandule, the yuca en escabeche. And I mean, and food is what makes everybody come together as a family, you know? So
yeah, totally. I agree with you. I think Puerto Rican rice is its own thing, right? It's super special. You can't mistake it. And I think it's the staple for every party, right? There's some family member bringing the rice, right? That's always the question. Who's bringing the rice?
Who's bringing the arroz con gandule? Yep. Who's bringing the arroz con gandule?
No, you're not allowed to make it because you're not good at making rice. You know, there's always someone in the family who messes up the rice and you can't get it right. And so on that note, what's your secret to a perfect rice? So it's not too hard. It's not too soft. It's that perfect mix. And it's, you know, I hate a rice that's too salty either because I want to eat a lot of it. And if it's too salty, you can't do it. How do you get the perfect combination? What's your secret?
My perfect combination is it's based on the ingredients I use. I always say on my recipes, I'm doing Sabor With Love recipe. There's people that use long grain rice. When you cook with long grain rice, it takes a little bit more water to cook. If you use short grain rice, it takes a little bit less water because it cooks a little bit quicker. I use the middle grain rice. That way it gives me that. I put 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, and that's the perfect measurement. So if you do a big pot and it's 5-6 cups of rice, then you add 2 cups of water per that. And then it makes the perfect rice. You know, the temperature when you're cooking it, the seasonings, I try to I've always been a cook where I cook by eye. You know, un chin de esto, un chin de aquello, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Un chin chin.
Exactly. Un chin chin, a little bit of this. Exactly. So now with my Sabor With Love page, I've had to break everything down step by step and measurements by measurements because people want to learn the correct measurements to it. But when we do a arroz con gandule, we want to make sure we have a good rice, a good product of gandules, and you want to make sure you have the plátano or the banana leaf to cover it so the steam cooks the rice completely, That's what gives it that criollo flavor,
So a question about the beans. For a lot of people who are not used to gandules, you can find them in a can. Pigeon peas. You can buy different brands. You can buy them frozen. Or if you're on the island like my tias do, they pick them right off the bush. What kind of beans do you use? Are you frozen, fresh? What are the best ones?
I like to use fresh ones. Every time, if I could find fresh ones are always the best. But if not, typically we'll make them with the ones that come in a can. If you can't find the frozen ones. Because now, here in Tampa, I could get a lot of ingredients that I could find in Puerto Rico, but there's people in New York, Chicago, Philadelphia that doesn't have the way of finding these ingredients, so they get frustrated. They're like, oh, I can't find that here. I can't make that dish, because I can't find that. Sometimes you could have people send them from Puerto Rico and ship them, but it costs so much money. I had people ordering pasteles from me, and we sent 2 dozen pasteles to New York. It cost $80. I was like, bro, you could take a plane ticket and come and eat them at my house,
No, I know anybody who's traveling from Puerto Rico, we're always hitting them up like, yo, can you do something?
Oh well, that and the Barriolito, but that's another story. Hey,
well, I would add,
get in there. This is Jenn Caban. I wanted before Jen starts, I wanted to mention this is just a wonderful moment. There's so many people chiming in. People see the comments in the comment section. But Chef Greg, this is what we call a Boricua triad here, because me and Vanessa up in the Northeast. You're in Florida, and Jenn Caban's out in the Oakland. And she said, I got to represent for the West Coast. What do you flavor on this one? So, Jen, you're a big foodie and a great activist, along with Vanessa. Jump in this conversation, girl.
Yeah, no, I can sympathize with not being able to find your food in California. So I've had to do a lot of improvisation on all my dishes, but I love to cook. And so, Senor Greg, I recently came across your videos, and there was one thing that I loved, and there's one thing that I found truly blasphemous, and it was the pasteles in the pan. Like I shared it. I got so many comments, so I want to get a sense from you what inspired it. And
let me explain to you real quick what happened. When we were in Puerto Rico, we used to have our catering business, and we used to cater for a lot of events. And when Christmas came around, and I had a catering for 300-400 people, I had to boil 400 dozen pasteles, individual pasteles. And when the time to serve came around, every time I did a catering, I would set it up as a buffet style. But then the whole pastel situation will hold up the line, because by the time you're opening them and putting them on the plate, it would take so much time. So I was like, you know what? We got to come up with an idea that it still works for the catering. It still has the same flavor, but it doesn't take away of the whole, traditional. And don't get me wrong, I still do my pasteles the old-fashioned way. I wrap them up individually. I would never leave that, because that's the way my abuelita and my mom taught me. But when it comes to catering and having to feed 200, 300, 400 people, you don't want to be doing 300 pasteles at a time, 400 pasteles at a time. So one day I told my wife, you know what? I'm doing this in a tray. 2 things could happen. It could work. If it doesn't work, I'll just throw the whole bandeja away with all the pastel in there. If it works, you know what? We made it happen. Sure. And she did a birthday party for me, and I did one of these trays of pasteles, and everybody was asking, because I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I didn't think it was going to be like everybody asking about it. So we did this pastel. She took a picture of the food and she posted it on our Sabor With Love page. And then everybody was just concentrating on that. What is that? Is that a bandeja pastel? Is that a big pastel? Oh my God, you need to explain this. I'm like, oh, hold on a second. So then, like 3 days later, we decided to do a video. This has been the shortest video I did for my page. It was an 8-minute video, me explaining, because I had explained already how to do the masa, the meat, and everything. So I explained how to put it together, how to cook it. She posted it. That was on a Friday. She posted it at 6:00 in the afternoon. My phone just went crazy. I'm like, what happened to my phone? My phone broke. And it was just people commenting and sharing. And that video went viral. Like in less than 24 hours, it had like 2 million views. It was crazy. And I'm like, Wow. Hold on a second.
So let me jump in here real quick, and then I'm gonna have Steve, one of our guests, is gonna jump in. So I want to see if he has a question. So Steve, get ready. Is that one of the things I comment, and Jen, I think you're thinking the same mode. Is like we've been making these pasteles like I don't know, a couple hundred years or something. And my man in Tampa figured it out. So you mean to tell me this just came like the a la cañona, like it was just a random idea? That's unbelievable, bro. I mean, the reaction has been incredible.
And then we had people that make pasteles to sell that. They live off of this. And they would comment on my page like, how didn't I come up with this? I've been doing pasteles all my life. How did this guy that,
Well, the thing is you made, now answer me this one. I might have Steve jump on. Is that you made, one of the first videos I saw you on was you made what they call, Chicago, Puerto Rican is called jibarito sandwich, which is the plato, like un totone grande, con la, the sandwich. Did you take that from the Chicago Puerto Ricans, or is that something you came up with your own, or you do in Puerto Rico?
No, because I used to, when we had the restaurants in Puerto Rico, I used to sell that sandwich in my restaurant.
Okay. Yeah, because the Chicago Puerto Ricans, they think it's like their thing. It's really interesting. But
I don't know where it comes from.
In Chicago, but okay, so that's something you brought from the traditional.
Yeah, because
Jen, let me see what this gentleman, Steve, he wants to get on. So, Steve, are you there? Calderoni.
I'm here.
Do you have a question for Chef Greg?
Two things. First of all, I just want to thank you about that turkey. That was the best turkey we ever had.
Awesome.
And the stuffing, I had a lot of Puerto Ricans eating that stuffing. They said that was the best turkey they ever had.
Awesome.
I told them that turkey was made with love, I told them.
There you go.
Turkey was great. Now, one thing, I'm looking for that pernil recipe you put online last month. Maybe I can't find it anywhere. I make a great pernil, but yours look different. I wanted to try like the way you make it.
Okay, so I'm going to have to put the link on my page once the whole show is over so I could hook you guys up with that recipe.
I appreciate that,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Keep it going, man. You're great.
Thank you. Appreciate
Steve,
it.
thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you, man. And keep enjoying the show. And
thank you for having me.
Support Sabor With Love and Found the Translation. Thank you so much, brother. Jen, do you have another question for Chef Greg?
What do you do outside of Puerto, like use inspiration from Puerto Rican flavors, but like make different dishes? So for example, like thankfully I have local vegetables and fruits that I get delivered. And so that inspires me, but I use my Puerto Rican culture to like make those dishes and share them with other people. So is there anything that you've kind of picked up along the way that inspired?
My thing, I've always been a person that I like to take our traditional recipes and do something where I make these recipes my own. So I say I'm a crazy guy in the kitchen because I like to take these recipes to a whole nother level, and people then get their mind blown like, what did he just do? This guy's crazy. I did a video on my page where I made fresh pizza dough. Okay. Instead of putting sauce and the whole traditional pizza, I made mangú. All right. So I did a Dominican pizza. I made the mangú with the onions and nice and soft. I put that on my pizza. Okay. Then I put cheese. I fry some cheese and fry some salami, and I did a Dominican pizza. I had Dominican people calling back to me like, you are crazy, bro. But this thing was so amazing because then the dough got nice and crunchy. I put some mayo ketchup on there, and you could taste all the flavors. It was just crazy,
I think I'm going to need the video for that.
Luis Castro asked a question. What about Puerto Rican lasagna? I love to see you make that. That is pastelon, correct?
That's pastelon, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Break down pastelon for the fam, because that to me is one of my all-time favorites and a special Christmas delicacy. Break down pastelon for us, brother.
So pastelon is the ripe plantain, all right? We take our ripe plantain. I have a different way of doing it. Traditionally, they slice the plátano, the ripe plantain down in little slices, and they fry it. I fry the plantain whole. Completely whole. Then I take like a cutting board and I smash it down, and then it smashes really big and wide. So with 2 plátanos, you do the first layer. You don't have to be doing like little piece by little piece. And then you put some of that egg wash on there, the meat. The meat I prepare differently. There's people that cook the meat, put the onions and the olives and all that in there. I put cream cheese in my meat. But remember, every time I do these recipes, I try to take them to a whole nother level. And this is Sabor With Love style. Yeah, so I put some of that cream cheese in there and the onions and the roasted red peppers. And then I keep on doing all these layers. And then you bake it for 15, 20 minutes till all that egg wash incorporates everything and blends everything together. I mean, the thing is, we eat that. traditionally you would eat that with a little bit of salad, but we take it to another level. We would have to have a piece of pastelon, some white rice, some habichuelas, I think we're the only people that eat actual lasagna with white rice on the side.
Do you put the string beans in there?
Yeah. Yep. Well, you see, my mom used to do it with string beans, but when I cook at home, my daughters don't like the string beans, so I gotta leave the string beans out. But I do mention it. I do mention, you can add string beans to this. There's people that do the sweet peas also. So everybody has their style, because Puerto Ricans, there's not one recipe of doing things. We'll take arroz con dulce. There's 200 recipes of arroz con dulce. Coquito. They do coquito with anything in there.
It's mainstream now.
Exactly. So I've been doing coquito with hazelnut chocolate. And people are going crazy. They're like, what are you doing? And then it's like, wow, this is so good. It's creamy. And I try to explain, the whole step by step. I tell them the way my mom and my grandma used to do it, but this is the way Chef Grego does it, because everybody has their own way of doing it.
So I want to ask you about pernil, because that was one of your other staples. And my family back home, they roast the pig outside. They got they do it the traditional way. And my cousin who works in a restaurant, he has like a big giant smoker and oven. But for those of us that are working with like a regular oven, what's the secret? I feel like my skin never comes out like el cuero. It never comes out that same kind of crispy. I don't know if it's like the temperature that I'm messing up or something's going wrong, but I kind of feel like pernil without the extra crispy cuero is just really, you might as well just throw it out, right?
Exactly. So
we're all there for, we want the crispy skin. How do you get it in like a regular, like standard kitchen oven?
So the way I do it, when I do it at the house, pernil, a 12-pound, 15-pound pernil takes at least 4 to 5 hours to cook. Not a lot of people want to take the time and cook this pernil, but when you want to taste food with love and have you remember, damn, when abuelita used to make this or my grandfather used to cook pernil, you adoba el pernil, you season this pork shoulder, and I try not to over season the skin, and that's where the trick comes. People season the whole pernil, and then the skin is all, because they do a wet rub to see
right.
All right.
The garlic.
Okay. So I season the whole pernil. I try to do it 1 day or 2 days before I cook it. That way it takes the whole flavor. And then when I'm going to pop it in the oven, I'll take a knife and scrape all that adobo from just the top of the skin, because I don't want it to have any type of wetness on it. Then I'll take a napkin and pat it down. I'll cover it up. I'll cook it for 2.5 hours to 3. It depends, because every oven cooks differently. I'll cook it for 2.5, 3 hours covered. Then I'll uncover it, and the rest of the hour and a half left, I'll leave it uncovered. And then the last 10 minutes, put it on broil. That skin, not having all that moisture, well, it's chicharrón, girl. Let me tell you.
Yes.
I mean, look at me. I want to eat a piece of pernil now,
Do you cut the fat from the meat when you're cooking the pernil? Because sometimes you'll peel the skin back and then you'll cut the fat from the actual meat to help with the
it depends. If you buy a pernil that has a lot of fat, you do want to do that. But remember, this fat is what gives this pernil the whole flavor. Mm-hmm. Right? So usually what I do, if I cook it with this whole fat in there, when it comes time to me to shred this pig apart, I could take the whole skin and just lift it up, because it's all nice and crunchy. And then all that fat just comes out with the skin. And then you just take that and dispose of it. And then your pernil is all nice and tender. And yeah, I want to go to the kitchen and cook a pernil right now.
I was about to say, what's on your Christmas menu?
Well, my Christmas menu, we always have arroz con gandules. We have pasteles. So this year we might do the pastel on the tray. We'll do the regular pastel and a pastel de yuca. All right. We'll do guineíto en escabeche. Now I've been doing a recipe of breadfruit, panapén, with the same way we do the yuca, but with panapeng, con la mollejita, with the chicken gizzards or whatever. So, I mean, if we have arroz con gandula and pernil, we good to go. You know, that's the main ingredients for the Christmas dinner right there.
Man, I haven't had panapeng in a minute.
What are your favorite appetizers? Because, you know, the staples, like, they're pretty much the same. But I feel like, I don't know what are some, like, really good appetizers that, I mean, pastelillos can kind of be like appetizers if you make them small.
Yeah.
Are there any traditional things that you typically serve?
So we'll do, if we're going to have people from really early for Christmas, I'll try to do some croquetas de jamón, some ham croquettes. I'll do the empanadillas, but I'll do like different types of, I'll do with chicken. I'll do empanadillas with bacalao in them. This is like the favorite. I have people that come over and they expect me to have these already. I'll do a shrimp filled empanadilla, and then I'll do like a guava glaze where every time you take a bite, you can drizzle a little bit of this guava sauce in there. Wow. Girl, I'm telling you. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, if you go to the kioscos in Luquillo, they have like 10 different kinds of empanadillas and pastelillos. And I think one of my favorites is pastelillo de chapín.
De chapín.
It's so good.
That's everybody's favorite.
So can we talk about seafood a little bit? Because that's the one thing when I go to Puerto Rico, I always get the seafood because it's not something I normally make on my own.
Exactly.
I'm in Philly. We don't get the fresh seafood from the Jersey Shore. You're in Florida, though. So seafood probably is plentiful, you know, at least fresh seafood. What are some of your favorite Puerto Rican seafood dishes?
Well, ensalada de pulpo, octopus salad. That's one of me and my wife's favorite. And
my man going to church right now.
and carrucho. Carrucho and pulpo are like the favorites, you know? And then, you know, that's a cold salad. That's food you eat cold. You know, una ensaladita de pulpo with a couple of tostones around. I mean, you can't go wrong with that, you know? And then if we want to eat some good mofongo relleno with camarones or langosta. I mean, in Puerto Rico, the big thing is camarones, langosta, pulpo, churrasco. Churrasco, no. I just mentioned it. Churrasco, no. Pulpo. Carrucho. Carrucho. Those are the big. You go to a lot of places in Puerto Rico that have the kioscos like on the beach, and those things are always going to be in these kioscos, you know.
Chef Greg, let me jump in here. First of all, remind people that are watching and listening to the Found in Translation talk show. You may be watching this on Facebook Live. We appreciate our live audience, and you're bringing so many of your fans. Your people love you, Chef Greg, and I want to get into the family. It's not just about you, brother. It's about Nicole.
What's your next video going to be?
Whole squad. And
this week we'll be doing a video. Well, we'll be doing a couple of videos because now I have a segment where I have my younger daughter coming in, and it's Sabor With Love Jr. Oh. She did a recipe last week, and I was surprised. She's like, Dad, I want to do a recipe. I'm like, what? Because they both cook, but I didn't know she wanted to be like join the whole, you know.
Let me jump in here and ask that question.
So, did you grow up in Florida, or like where originally are you from?
No, I was born in Connecticut, and then we lived in Jersey, and then we lived in New York, and then they took us all the way to Puerto Rico. Then we lived in Puerto Rico for a while. I came to Florida with an aunt of mine and lived here for probably 9-10 years, and then moved back to Puerto Rico because she was the only family member I had here in Florida. And then over there, I met my wife, got married, lived there like for 18 years, and then we're back to Florida.
The very Puerto Rican experience, Chef, and again, I just wanted to note they're watching a Found Translation talk show, whether it's a live video, YouTube, of course, the podcast version, anywhere you can find the Found Translation podcast, and on Vanessa Maria Graber's radio station, WPPMLP 106.5 FM, People Powered Media. Chef, I did want to ask you about that because one of the things I think people are drawn to you, and people really have a lot of love for you, bro. It's not just like, oh, the food. There's a lot of cooks. I hear a lot of people make good food, but they can feel the love, pardon the pun, that you have for your family. You know, and your wife. And I think it's that partnership, bro. And now you're bringing your daughter into the mix, which is awesome. But that it's not just about the cooking. It's about how you're using this gift to share with other people, but also build the life with your family. Can you talk about that, man? Because I think that's what really appeals to so many people out there that follow your platform.
So the most important thing for me in life is God, and then my family. You know, my family, my wife, my daughters. You know, I take time. When they were younger, I would come from work really exhausted, really tired, and they were like, let's go do this, let's go ride bikes, and I would never say no, regardless, because the most important thing for me is my family, my daughters. I remember when we were in Puerto Rico, we would be doing caterings, and they were there with us working, you know, doing their little thing. They were young or whatever, and that was the whole point of us doing this page, you know, to bring family together. People would ask me, what do you do to food? Why does your food, people that have tasted my food throughout the years, the restaurants we had in Puerto Rico, they're like, what do you do? Because there's a lot of people that cook, but you have this special thing that makes it taste different. And I told them it's the love I put in what I do. So that's actually where the whole name of my page came from. You know, it's Sabor with Love. You know, if you cook with love and you have love for your family and you have love for others, I mean, this is what it is, you know? So this is what brings family and people together.
Absolutely. What is it? What is the not only the business, but this? I mean, in Puerto Rican, you guys are like kind of celebrities. Like, I mean, like you're like, what is this attention? How has it changed you? Because one of the things I saw, the biggest thing doing the research today, obviously, I know your videos, the pastelon thing blew you up and all that, but that how much I saw, and I'm saying particularly you grew as a person from the beginning of your videos.
Most definitely.
Because in the beginning you were nervous, you weren't really, really confident on the video. Your wife was much stronger. I mean, be honest, be straight up.
My wife is not a camera person.
No, but when you get her on, she's strong. But my point is, you have grown as a broadcaster and as a personality. So talk to us about how that growth has happened. How is this last year or two where you're gaining that recognition and growing as people in front of us? How has that impacted y'all? I mean, because it's been a journey, I'm sure, beyond just the cooking. You know?
Most definitely. So when we started this page, like I told you, it was like a type of a hobby thing. Well, the page blowing up, people starting to know us everywhere we go. Now it feels awkward in the beginning because the amount of attention we're getting. You know, we're going to places where people are stopping us and can we take a picture? And we love it. I mean, it was weird in the beginning because it was like, hold on a second. This whole Sabor with Love page this is real now, you know? This thing just blew up and everybody notices us. Everywhere we go, there's people that recognizes us and want to take pictures and come up to me and say hi to my wife, to my daughters. And it feels great because, like you said, Rafa, when we first started this, you know, I started doing a video and it was like, and I've always been a people person, but to do this, what we're doing now, it was like, I see the video that we did in the beginning and I see videos that we do now. And we just taking it to a whole nother level with this. And it feels great. It feels great. My family's happy. We have a lot of projects coming along. We're working on a cookbook that's going to be actually published. We're coming out with merchandise. It's taken us a little longer just because we want to do everything the correct way and the legal way, you know? So we're going to be having our shirts, our hats. See, I got the Sabor with Love logo, my shirts, aprons, and, you know, it's changed our life, but it's changed our life for the best. It's brought us together every time we do something. We've always done things together, but now we're always together. So it's kind of cool, you know?
Do you have any advice for someone who would want to start their own cooking thing? Like, I've got my little hashtag that everybody knows me by now, which is Love Lives Here. And I'm always posting food, but I've never thought about like posting any of my videos. And I always get asked, how do I make things? So
how can I tell you? The hardest thing of starting a page is doing that first video. It's that first video. Because when I started doing this page, like for 6 months, I would tell my wife, this week we're doing a video. That week would go by. Next week, this week we're doing a video. And weeks kept on going by, and we never got to do it. I mean, we would cook, but we would never, we forgot to do the video after we finished cooking. And one day I said, you know what? We need to do this video, this first video. So we actually coordinated. You got to plan how to do it. Because if you've never done this whole having a page, this is a full-time job. You ladies know you're in this, and Rafa knows this. People don't know this is a full-time job. And when both people, my wife and I, both work full-time jobs. So now we have full-time job plus this page that is a full-time job. And people know I love to dedicate time to them, and I try to answer everybody's questions and go on there and have and interact with my followers. But what I could tell anybody that wants to start a page or start doing something, you have to have passion for it. You have to love what you're going to do. And just that first video, you got to make sure you do that. Once you do that first video, you're going to want to, next week I got to do another video, because I had a little couple of followers follow me or whatever. It was exciting for us because when we started the page, we had probably, before the pastel video, we had probably 35,000 people following us. And for me, that's a lot of people. Yeah. Probably internet-wise or cyber-wise, it's not a lot, 35,000, but for me, that was a lot. And we got to interact with the people that were following us and answer questions back and forth, and it was nice. And once the page blew up, and you see that you post a video and in less than an hour you have 15,000 views and 10,000 comments, you're like, hold on, what happened here? You know?
You're like, what did I do?
It throws you off a little, but it feels good, because what you've worked for, it pays off. It's like, wow, now, there's people following us, and everywhere we go, we have people from Puerto Rico, from Chicago, New York, some people following us from Hawaii, from China. And when I see these comments and people saying hi from all these places all over the world, that's one of the things that fills me up. And when I see the comments, people write comments like, I remember my mom used to make this, my abuelita, they passed away, I never learned, and now you're bringing all these recipes where we could and I mean, I read this and I get emotional. I'm like, hold on, we're having an impact on people. We're changing people's lives, and that for me is like a satisfaction. It makes us feel terrific, great.
Chef, let me ask you about
how super dope. Do you have any bloopers by chance? Because when you make these videos, you make tons of mistakes and something. Any of that coming out?
My wife, she tries to throw something in there once in a while. She'll start recording and I didn't know, and I'm being goofy back there in the kitchen and doing my thing, because we try to test the whole video thing before she starts going live. But then I'm doing all the goofy stuff, and she's like, "We're live." She's like back there giving me signals and stuff, and now I'm doing that face like, okay.
That's awesome. Coach, Chef Greg, this has been, we haven't had a chance to breathe. This is so awesome conversation. I want to ask about your presentation style, because one of the things I'm really impressed by is, let me tell you, there's people that are bilingual, and there's people that could do this in English or do it in Spanish. But the way you incorporate it, man, that's one of the biggest comments I get is that él habla los idiomas muy bien, and then you incorporate them both back and forth, because that Spanglish presentation is really hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
So just how did you develop your style, man? That people are very impressed by that.
So with me is at work right now, I have a lot of Americans that work with me, a lot of Latinos that don't speak English. So while I'm at work, I have to be speaking both languages at the same time, because I'm like trying to explain to the Latinos what needs to be done, and then I got to jump back in and explain to everybody in English what everything is. So I'm always at work doing this. So my brain is already like pre-trained to do it like this. So when I decided to do this page, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I could do this back and forth, because I have a lot of American people that love our food, that watch us. A lot of friends that are American, and they're like, bro, you guys with that arroz con gandules and that pernil or whatever, yeah, well, you need to teach us that. So, it's fun when you have to teach people your culture and how to make this food. In the beginning, I would finish so exhausted. I'm like, oh my God, this is tiring, because I'm trying to think, when we do a video, we got to set up the lights, set up the camera, prep, make sure we have all the ingredients, make sure everything is where it needs to be. And at the same time, I'm thinking, how am I going to develop this? How am I going to say this? How am I going to say that? So it got a little bit exhausting in the beginning. I'm like, oh, this is a lot. My brain's going to blow up. But now I just adapted to it, and I just flow with what needs to be done and said. So for me, it's automatically. Now here, while we're doing this video, I've been trying not to speak the whole Spanish and English at the same time, so it doesn't seem awkward.
No, pero brother, está con familia. No te apures. Bring it both ways. There ain't no problem, brother.
Listen, I wanted to talk about sort of the pride that you have that's so wonderful that a lot of us share. You have a flag in almost every video. I got my little flag back here in my office. So, I try to represent too.
Awesome.
And I think, this summer especially, in a good way, Puerto Rico was really put on the map because of all the activism and protesting. And
most definitely.
And we saw what we can achieve when we work together. And I felt very proud to be a Boricua.
Most definitely.
In Philly, me and Ray, we always trying to represent here. What does it mean for you to have this pride? Because you're always representing, you wear the hats, it's the food, it's the culture, it's the language. It really comes through in everything that you do. And I've heard some of my white friends say I'm so jealous you have this culture you're so proud of. You guys really love it. Where does that come from? And I just sort of say, I don't know. I'm in love with our people. And so that's why I have pride. But what does it mean to you to have so much Boricua pride?
So for me, I was born in the States. I was raised in the States. But then we moved to Puerto Rico, and living in Puerto Rico for 18 years and seeing my abuelito wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go down to the finca and deal with the animals and grab the banana leaves and grab the bananas directly from the trees. I would wake up early and go with him and do all this and see the way they did all this with love, and then he would bring everything down and my abuelita would make the coffee in the morning. And I got to see how coffee was processed in Puerto Rico, from grabbing the coffee bean from the tree, letting it dry, then toasting it, and I got to see that with the coffee, with the achote, with the banana leaves. The animals they consumed were all from the farm. So seeing all this humble and all this, our roots, our music, our food has so much flavor, and our music, la música jíbara, la música de plena, bomba y plena, and see how everybody comes together in the holidays and everybody worries about everybody. It doesn't even have to be holidays. I remember when I was growing up in Puerto Rico, the neighbors would come by and we would all sit in a balcón and have coffee. And someone would
use the party, right?
Exactly. We don't need a reason. We just need people and food. That's all we need, So people would come together for no reason, and having that love and having love with one another, the culture, the food, and bringing everybody together. We can't say. I mean, we got to be proud to be Puerto Ricans, because not every culture has this. We have something special.
Vanessa, you got a radio station. You have a great passion for music, and I'm glad you brought that up, because, and maybe I'm going to try to sneak in another show for the holidays, sort of our musical people, to talk about parrandas, and that's that part of our culture too. But Vanessa, talk about, you jump in there too, Chef, how we incorporate the music with the food, and it's part of the whole ethos that we have around the holidays when we come together.
Well, I think just in general, Puerto Ricans have this desire to be together, a lot, and are generous. I think the generosity comes through in food, because even when you go to the poorest communities, even here in North Philly, people always offer you a cafecito. They'll offer you something to eat. They always got something to give you. That's not something that I've observed in our culture. Sometimes I feel a type of way when people don't offer, food and drink and are as welcoming. So I love that. It really does start with the love, the desire to connect and be with other people. And music is a part of that, because I think all these things are really about how we identify ourselves in culture. I'm glad that I was taught how to salsa and merengue, and I was taught how to make arroz con gandules. I was taught Spanish. I was taught things about, growing food. And I think those are so important in teaching us who we are. And there's a whole history that goes along with that. And one of the things I teach Latin American media at Temple is we really need to shout out our African ancestors, right? That brought the music, that brought a lot of these recipes and traditions with them. The dancing and the Bombay Plena, like that's African, you know, like a lot of these influences came from other parts of the world. So again, just being able to like make it our own and share it with other Latinos, because, you know, if you got a party with a bunch of Latinos, they're jumping right in la paranda, right? They're grabbing those.
They're grabbing anything that makes a sound. They're like, oh, wepa, you know? It's crazy. I had parrandas where they had pots and pans, you know? And probably a parranda started off with 8, 9 people. By the end, when they went to the last house, there was 50 people. And the last house was doing the asopao de pollo, the café. It was a party.
Jump in here, Jenn, because now Jenn, I know she represents hard out in the West Coast in Oakland. And so, Jenn, how do you utilize these Puerto Rican traditions to keep that flavor, those memories, and our culture alive out in the Bay Area?
I mean, that's what keeps me alive, really. Like, I've been out in the Bay Area about 8.5 years now. I can't even believe I'm saying that. But I'm originally from New York, and it's different. It's just culturally different. My food is not out here. The sounds are not out here. You'll have like a salsa night, and it's like cumbia and mariachi and all these other things, and you're like, where's my salsa? Where's my merengue? So I have to bring that home. So I make sure that I have like every so often, I'll have like a dinner in my house, invite people and make some oxtails or the arroz con gandules they love. And that's where the love lives here came from, because it was like, if I'm not making it, and I'm not making it with love, then there's no point to it. So that keeps me alive and thriving here in the Bay Area. And I definitely got to go back home every so often to get connected to my roots.
Refresh, yeah, most definitely.
No question about it, Chef. We only have 5
So that's what I love about your videos. It just the accent and the energy behind it just awesome. Reminds me.
Thank you.
But the pastel one was the difficult one, because it was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Why didn't I think of that before? And it was like, oh snap. I was like, I don't know if my ancestors going to appreciate not doing it the original way, but I was like, hey,
don't forgive us. Don't forgive us.
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing about music, which is I think part of my first introduction to Latino music was my mom playing music while she's cooking.
Always.
Right? And cleaning, because we know every Saturday
morning. Yep.
So I wonder if you might have like a playlist or like go to like, because I think that music inspires you too. You're moving around, you're feeling the energy.
Well, the bad thing about having this page is that we have to put free royalty music, because if not, Facebook shuts down the audio for my videos.
Right. So that's why I'm asking what's on your actual playlist, because we don't get to see that in your videos. And maybe
so my actual playlist,
we will play it on our station.
I'm an old school salsa listener from Gran Combo, Gilberto Santa Rosa, Tito Nieve, Tito Roja.
Ain't nothing wrong being a salsa snob, brother.
You know, that's what I listen to when I'm in my truck or I'm at home, you know, cooking and doing my thing. And I started doing that when I did the videos, because I didn't know the whole free royalty music thing. And then they were shut down the voice on my videos. I'm like, hold on a second, what happened? You know, so that got me a little bit bummed, because, you know, I wanted to have that salsa on there when I'm cooking and doing my thing. So I'm trying to work with this guy from Puerto Rico. He has a studio where he could come up with some music, salsa rhythms or whatever, that I could make my own.
Well, I'll tell you what, send us a playlist. Send us your top 10 or 12 songs.
All right.
And Ray and I will put it on WPPM. That's Greg's Puerto Rican Sabor With Love playlist.
Awesome.
And then we'll be able to play it while we make our dishes this holiday season.
There you go.
That is fantastic.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. Chef, we don't have too much time with you, and I know we're a little over time with you, so we appreciate it. But let people know what's next, because I know I was asking my wife, my family. They were like, I was like, what country you got for Sabor With Love? They said, yo, Greg, we need the cookbook, we need the TV show, we need it all, dog. So tell us what's next for your brand.
So I have a couple of meetings with some people that work with the local TV channels, with like Telemundo, Univision. They're trying to do a cooking segment. So they have me in the list for doing this. So we don't have nothing concrete yet, but we're working on that. I'm coming up with my cookbook where I'm just going to be from 10 to 15 recipes with pictures. I'm a guy that if I open up a cookbook, I need pictures. Okay. I'm like a little first grader. I need pictures in my book. All right. So I'm going to try to have pictures on this and make it as simple as possible so everybody could cook. You know, it doesn't matter if it's a young kid, if it's someone that's never cooked before. We're going to be having merchandise pretty soon. I have people already sending me stuff. I have people, Mommy, grab me the knife real quick so they can see it. I have this guy that he's a barber for one of my friends. He's like, yo, I'm following this guy on Facebook that cooks. And he's all excited cutting his hair up. And my friend is getting his hair cut. He's like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. And I made something for him, but he doesn't have an address where I can send it to him. So he shows him one of my video, and my friend's like, you want me to call him? He's like, what? What? You guys' number? Like, this is my boy. You know, I could call him right now. So he calls me. I'm at work, and this guy, when he sees me, like, oh, my God, I can't believe it's you. So this guy made like a knife, a hatchet for me, and he engraved the Sabor With Love logo on the knife.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So he knows I'm always wearing the New York Yankee hat, whatever. So the other side has the Puerto Rican flag. Let me see if.
Yeah. Oh, you can see it. That's nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he gave us this as a gift, you know. So that was kind of nice of him. And we have people, you know, just wanting to send us stuff, and it's cool. You know, it's nice, the love we get from the people and everything. But yes, we're coming with merchandise. We're going to have our shirts with our logos. We're going to have the coffee mugs, the hats, the aprons, the cookbook. And I'm going to be working in a couple of commercials for different supermarkets, local supermarkets. You know, I'll go and do the whole shopping for my ingredients, do a little 5-6 minute video for them. And, you know, everything works out really cool.
So, Chef, before I ask Jen to ask her final question for you here on Found in Translation, I want to give a shout out to our great friend, activist, and one of our regular contributors, Edwin Desamore. He just came out with a product line for men's beards.
Oh, really?
So my Christmas gift to you, Bobby, is we're going to send you some product.
All right.
And if you like it, he's a Puerto Rican entrepreneur hustling like you can shout it out on there. That'd be great. But
nice.
We're going to send you the product as well. So that's Found in Translation family Christmas gift
awesome.
to you as well. And I'm sure your wife will appreciate you tightening it up there. So, Jen, jumping in this conversation for your final question for Chef Greg from Sabor With Love.
So one, I'm going to say, because I'm an education policy person, that I appreciate you thinking about the different learning styles for your cookbook.
Yes, thank you.
But now that we're going into the new year, everybody wants to think about a resolution and what they're going to do in the future. And I know that you got your items, your things in the stove. What outside of cooking are you resolving or want to work on in the new year?
So this whole page blowing up became our main focus right now. This Sabor With Love page is our little baby, our project. So now there's restaurants that been wanting for us to go visit them and do a video with them or cook at their kitchen or try to do like a whole show on what their restaurants is all about. So my resolution for this year is, you know, making sure my page is still flowing, doing recipes for everybody where everybody keeps on learning and where I could go get out there with me and my wife and, you know, and visit all these different spots, Latino spots, not only Puerto Rican, but, you know, Dominican, Venezuela, Colombian, all Latinos, you know, and just make sure everybody's knowing of all these places out there to go eat and different types of food and learn how to make all these great recipes, you know.
Jump in there, Vanessa, for your final comment. I know this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate everybody's
I don't have any more
enthusiasm. We could sit here all day and talk to my man, you know?
I know. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
You have that star quality. I believe you're going to blow up. And I'm just super proud of you for representing the culture, for teaching everybody what you know, and for just spreading love, because there's a lot of things happening. Me and Ray, we follow the news. It can be depressing.
Yeah.
We need more uplifting people and stories like this, and it really gives us hope for the new year.
Awesome.
So just keep cracking on, and we wish you the best of luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
And let me tell you something. I'm going to bring Jen back into this, but I want to share something with you, brother, because this is why I've done this show, and I want to share with you. We just got to know each other, but I've had a full-time job. I've been doing this on the grind for many years, and And oftentimes you wonder, like, why do you do this? Like, why do you like put in the extra time, make these videos? You ain't making no money doing this and that. But it's like, but the whole purpose ultimately of the show, I mean, I provide my commentary on certain issues, but ultimately is that to show people. Let me tell you something. We've had, I don't know, 300 comments, 400 comments. And you know what the vibe has been about? It's about positivity. Yeah, of course, the Puerto Rican piece, the Latino piece, but it's about, wow, most of us out here just trying to do good for other people. And show our people that it don't matter what you look like. Don't matter, like, if, you know, like, we're doing positive things. And look at this, my man right here. Again, not only be an entrepreneur, take care of the family, showing pride in our culture and all of our culture, whether you're from the Bronx or Penuelas and PR, everyone's feeling this because it's about our collective experience and it's a positive thing. So, brother, I just want to thank you. I want to thank Jenn. Jenn, I was sharing with you. She had to get through San Francisco traffic to just be on the show. And Vanessa's in the middle of work. So I just want to thank you. So, Coach Jeff, I keep calling you Coach for some reason. Chef Greg, you're the boss, brother. Wrap us up. Let people know where they can find you on social media. Anything else you want to share. And again, I want to thank not only you and your wonderful family, brother, for this time.
Awesome. I want to thank you guys for having me on your show. And yes, our project's coming up. We're having recipes this week coming up, really cool recipes. So stay tuned. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Same way, Sabor With Love. You know,
fantastic.
The whole journey, and just keep on cooking and making good food. And I appreciate the opportunity you guys gave me to be on the show with you guys. And to meeting you guys. Now you got another welcome to the family, you know?
Oh, no. Well,
you know?
You getting one of the best Christmas gifts I can come up. My man's got the good stuff for you, brother. We're gonna take care of you. We're gonna keep working together. I get to Florida quite a bit for work and other things. So we're gonna keep collaborating, supporting you. Again, thank you, Chef Greg, from the Sabor With Love brand. Of course, thank your wonderful wife, Nicole, and your amazing family. Again, I go back to that. That's such a big part of your brand and this. The reason we're all connected to you guys, and have a wonderful holiday. Again, you found Translation. I know you're bringing me a lot of new fans and customers. I appreciate you, brother, honestly. And for those that are new to the experience, check us out. Anywhere you can download a podcast at Found in Translation. I'm still on YouTube with Ray's podcast with Transition the Brand. Thank you, brother. We'll be in touch soon.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jenn and Vanessa, for doing the show with me. And have a wonderful Feliz Navidad, familia.
Seguro que sí. God bless.